Get your day started right. From our shack to yours, this is Coffee and Ham Radios. We are live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everybody. Glad everybody could make it today. Where are we at here? We got a few people here.
Chuck, we're not live yet. It's hung up. You're talking to yourself.
It's live, son.
It's live. I got 22 seconds.
Oh,
dog.
you were doing a joke. You should have tipped me off beforehand.
Jesus.
You got to tip him off. He's a little slow
Man,
sometimes.
I teed him up so hard, and he would have fallen
did.
into that, too. I was
You
like,
did.
wait,
You
Chuck,
did.
wait.
You almost had me, except I'm looking at the ticker up here.
Chuck, we're talking
Ticker
about
don't
them
mean-
boys in the chat. We ain't live.
So I'm glad everybody could make it today. Hopefully, we'll get some people in here. We got a few. We're making progress here real quick. Before we get to it today, we were just going through some specs, and my buddy FEP Labs over here is pumping out some videos. But
Yeah, we were doing a
what do
little
you got?
research on FEP.
We're doing some research on FEP Labs, and well,
Being
all of us,
studied by
but
the government.
the government is looking in. Jim, what do you have? You just did a what was it? The station, the soldering station. How was that thing?
Well worth the cost of it. It's like $40, I think. $35, $40 for that Kaiwheat station. The only thing I found wrong with it was the twisty knob is not exactly accurate, but I didn't exactly expect it to be.
I
And
haven't had
there's
a chance to watch it, but
there's
does
a
it
calibration you
actually
can
show
do on it.
temperatures?
yeah, it's got Fahrenheit and Celsius markings on the knob,
Okay.
and it seems like it's close-ish, a little hot compared to what the knob is at, but there's a calibration thing you can do on it. I thought it was a decent station for $40.
Yeah, the one I have costs about 30, but it just has numbers 1 through 8, and I just keep it around 4 or 5 most of the time, unless I'm got something big. I've been totally happy with mine too.
I actually put a thermocouple. God, I hate saying that word. A thermocouple on the tip, and then dialed it to several levels, and was actually watching the temperature on a meter.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, you mean
Yeah.
with your multimeter? I got you.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But almost any decent meter. I mean, the Kaiwheat's meter, for example,
Yeah,
comes with a thermocouple, and it works great.
nice.
The only problem you ever have is figuring out how to fasten your dingus to the other dingus where they don't catch fire. But
Right. Thanks, Todd. Hey, Todd.
hey,
Well, we got-
other
key
Florida
him up
Todd,
here.
what's up, buddy?
Yeah, Todd, thank you very
Florida
much.
Other
I got it.
He's
I don't know.
a
He said
fan
ape
of
is
the
better than cat videos, so I'm not entirely
he's
sure.
a fan of Mr. Ape. Maybe he doesn't like cats.
So you're talking about that Kaiwheat. I have the Heiko,
The Hakko.
the 808,
Taco.
whatever it is. And like, I don't know, this tip's a mess. And everybody's always like, you got to keep that tip clean, boy. I'm a soldering pro.
Oh my God! Hold that up! Hold that up!
Hold
It's
it up.
judging
Hold it
time.
up and look at mine.
Let's judge tips. Hold yours up, ape. Oh, that's not terrible. It's a little. It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a working soldering iron. I use the thing.
What do you got?
Oh,
Chuck? Hold yours
here's
up.
this. I forget it's a AOYUE.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it basically
Oh, look at
uses
how
the
shiny
same.
Chuck's is.
It uses the
polishing
same. I
that
probably
knob,
just
boy.
use it.
He's been
I use the little
polishing that
tiny
knob.
one too most of the time. If you see, I use the fine one. It uses the same tips as the Heiko. So
And I was putting down globs as a solder. I don't know if you can see
Yeah.
that or not.
you
Oh,
were-
wait, let me hang on. Hold it back up. Hold your dingus up.
Globs as a solder on that thing. So, I mean, look at this one
that's
over
nothing though. Have you watched those guys build the CBMs?
Yeah,
That's
there's
not
guys who use
glob.
the CBMs. They use the soldering iron. It's like the tip
It's like
is
half
like
inch
this,
around.
It's like this.
Yeah.
it's like that big. And I saw this one where this guy takes like I don't know 1 millimeter solder, and he takes 3
Oh,
of them
wow.
and twists it together into like a big candy cane looking thing. So he's got like a
Right.
giant solder stick, and that man they goop that stuff on there.
You got to have some fire for that too. You ain't doing that with a
Yeah,
little
they're
home
using
station.
they're using
a
big
torch
ones.
or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but they have these giant copper ground planes that they build their amplifiers on, and I guess you got to get them hot to get stuff on there.
Yeah, I
But they're running like aught gauge power wire in there, which is like a 1/2 inch in diameter, and they got to
Right.
get that hot.
you just about have to have a torch for that. I've got
Yeah.
video I'm doing the editing on that'll come out I don't know, this week, maybe this weekend, on that power supply that I was working on, and I had Hollywood was helping me. Hollywood and I spent like 2 afternoons going through this thing, and he was mostly schooling me and judging my soldering skills a little bit.
That man's a saint.
That man is a saint, and he's a freaking genius.
Yeah.
And we got it working, but I learned some cool soldering tricks from him. And I mean, we're just in a video chat, and my camera's aimed at the power supply, and he's just there. Nope. Oh my God, what did you do? Don't do that ever, because you'll make your hair fall out or whatever.
Well, I got to tell you,
I learned a lot of stuff.
This is a mess. This is my soldering, whatever. But these are both running pretty low, so I need to get some more. So I was wondering what everybody's using.
Well, I got chastised for having 7337 or no.
There's mine. If you can read it.
6337 instead of 7040.
7040 is 110, son. You can't have that.
What do you mean it's 110? What are you talking about?
70 plus 40 is 110%.
70-30, 60-40, 60-40. Yeah, you're right. I'm working on my coffee, son. Okay, just cut me some slack. I'm still working on it.
This is Kester rosin.
Kester's supposed to be the good brand. Let me get my
and he told me, Hollywood told me
0.031.
Kestrel is what you want to get, because I had some off-brand.
Kester. Yes.
I had some off-brand.
Kestrel's something else.
This is 60-40. It's Mandala.
Part on here.
Mandala Crafts.
Look at Ape with the splaining glasses on. Them look
like
new splaining glasses.
I don't see what says that.
I went on to the Google, and I typed in I needed splaining glasses like they wear on Seinfeld. And these are the ones that came up. They work great.
That's the ones.
I mean, that's what we call in the military. We called those birth control glasses.
I already got kids, so I'm okay with it.
I wonder why.
You're good with that at this point, right?
Right.
Well, glasses are a statement now, man. There are a lot of YouTubers using their funny looking glasses for looks, I think.
Well, I guess if you got to do whatever you got to do to get some views, man.
Yeah.
These are for
I can
function.
see.
Ape, what do you got going on?
Well, like I said, I ran out of solder, so I need to. This one is I don't. They're both 2% flux. They're the same thing. They're both 60-40. And I was trying to get the size on this thing, but I don't see. This one's 0.8, and then the other one is 0.5. So I like the 0.8. It's a little bigger, but everybody's like, "Oh, you shouldn't use that." And then
mine's ordered a different measurement.
One thing Hollywood shamed me on was he said, "What solder are you using?" And I pulled out a little round tube of solder that probably came from Radio Shack in 1994.
Right. Still using it.
These are silver. They're not. There's no lead in these. No. It's just silver and copper, and it's the worst. It is absolutely.
Has it got a very high melt point?
I don't know, dude. Does it say on the thing?
I don't know. I mean, I would think silver copper would have a higher melt point than just pure lead.
Well, AG is. Oh, here it is. So it says SN is 99%. What is SN?
10.
And then it's 0.3% AG, which is silver, right?
Silver, yeah.
And then CU, which is copper, is 0.7.
CE is not copper. CU is copper.
That's what I said, CU.
Okay.
You got to clean them ears out, boy. Get yourself some Q-tips, the Johnson & Johnsons.
I need to pick
Okay, I'm dropping the red flag.
But I need some. I'm probably going to pick up that Kester. But that stuff's like $45 a spool.
And also,
it lasts you for 45 years
for some of our viewers. But Hollywood shat from a great height upon lead-free solder.
He didn't like it.
Which is what I've heard from other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate it.
So my next video, I'm hoping, is going to be that. Hey, Brian, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Let me Brian, take care of that first. Joe Brett finally woke up. My next video is going to be that rotatable dipole at 10 meter, and I'm gonna add some sections to it. I was talking about the other night where I think I can get all the way to 20 meters. And if you want any more than that, you're going to have to hang the wires like I did before. But it should come out pretty cool. And it should break. I mean, I was thinking about shortening it, and then I found out that I was going to lose 20. So I didn't want to do that. I have a way of doing it, but I don't want to do it. It's a lot of work. But who knows? When I rebuild this thing, I might do it that way. So that should be pretty good. And then I've got it's a DMR radio. It's code plugs. I haven't even pulled that one out. I may not even do the code plug part. I might just do the regular FM.
Why did you
stuff
buy
instead of the
DMR
digital.
radio?
I didn't buy it. It was gifted to me for a video, and then I have to gift it to the next person. So
Thank you,
I think it's
Steve.
radio.
Steve got the happy lady.
Now we
Appreciate it,
are talking
buddy.
about. We've been talking about solder. If that's not ham radio, I don't know what it is, man. Come on, come
Right.
on, man.
I did see one comment, and it was up there for a while, and then I think something else popped up.
Look who got out of
Gary,
bed. Oh, not Gary. It's not the one. Hey, Gary, how you doing, buddy?
Gary could probably
Look at
teach
this
us
one.
how to solder.
Look, wait a second. I'm doing the calculations in my head. Wow, is the sun up even there where he's at?
I don't know, but
Let's see. Maybe.
he's probably wandering around the house aimlessly looking for caffeine.
Right. Coffee. Morning thump.
Morning thump. So we're going to talk about why you need. Okay, my first question is why separate receiving antennas, or why would you need a receiving antenna? And mainly this is for the low bands, 80 and 160, but also 40 probably gets some good use out of it. Also, excuse me. But and a lot of the stuff I'm going to reference, I have to tell you guys, I opened up the book and I started going through this stuff and making some notes, and then I'm like, well, I wonder how many pages are on just receiving antennas. 115 pages from one book. And the book I'm using today is called Low Band DXing. I'm trying to get it to where you can actually see it. And this is this is the guy right here. Where did we say he was from?
Well, I'm looking
His
it up.
name.
He's a Swede, I think is what we were saying.
He's from Belgium. He's a silent key now, unfortunately. And he's got. I think there's. Abe, didn't you say there's a book after this one? This is 5th edition.
No, that's the last one, and it's
this is the last one.
$44.95 on the league's website.
And I don't know how many pages, but you guys see how thick it is. And that's just on this. Well, it's not
As thick
just
as my glasses.
receiving antennas. It's not receiving antennas. It's all about low band DXing. And I was asking the guys if they can get across the pond on 40, because I usually can't. But
Let me share this, Chuck.
Jim
real
said he
quick.
could.
This is this guy's house.
yeah,
And he is silent key. Look at, oh my God, there's no way my wife would let me put all that up if I could even spend the money on it.
well, obviously he's a serious contester, probably.
That looks like Joe Brett's antenna farm.
Well, there's not enough
way.
rusty car parts around the house, but yeah,
And there's no couch on the porch.
there's no couch on the porch, son. That ain't Joe Brett's house. That's about all the pictures he had. But
So I guess this guy is pretty well known. His name is John Devildaire. I probably did terrible on that. ON4UN. And I've had this book for a while. I go into it every once in a while when I get this hankering to want to make my 40 and 80 a little bit better. And I usually look at it, and I haven't really improved. For 40 and stuff, I use my 40 and down. I use my doublet. For everything below that, pretty much I use my tri-bander or other Yagis that I have. Yagis for the higher bands are a lot easier than the low bands. But
Because it got to be so dang on big when you're talking
Yeah,
about
they're
the low
huge.
band, right?
even
Yeah.
when you use coils, they're huge.
Right, I was gonna say then
I mean-
people put coils on there, which really tightens your Q up. So you have to be
Right.
really have them dialed in for a particular frequency.
yeah,
So Jim, why would you want a separate receiving antenna? What benefits are we going to get from something like that? I'm putting you on the spot. Sorry, man.
yes, you are.
It's an easy one.
Off the top of my head, so number one, if you just want to listen to stuff, obviously, you're going to have a very low noise floor with a receive only antenna, typically, especially if it's
So-
something like a loop on the ground.
So because you may have a high noise floor,
Yeah,
because like 80 and 160 are kind of noisy, especially in the winter time. I think it's winter.
Well, they have a
time.
lot of atmospheric noise, right? Is
So-
a lot
Right.
of the stuff that you're picking up there.
I mean, one thing that pops into my head, and I don't know if it's even possible, it just seems kind of obvious, but it may not work. So if you have a receive-only antenna, let's say you do a loop on the ground, an 80-meter loop on the ground, I can receive on the loop, and then I could transmit on my regular antenna and kind of fake a real QSO that way.
And you guys know that I haven't got rid of my 3000 because my 3000 has 3 antenna ports. Number 3 is for a receiving antenna, and when you hook it up right, when I transmit it, it goes on my regular antenna.
Oh my,
It's
that's
JB
not
right
TO.
there. It says
False
TO, but
advertising. It says TO, but it looks like an angry ginger from Mississippi. What's up?
That's right. That's right.
TO must be
got the luck-
traveling.
The luck of the
Let's go
Irish
ahead.
laddie.
Oh yeah, I
TO.
think I'm in.
It must be cold there, huh? Because you're not on the couch on the porch.
Oh,
Can't
He's-
hear it.
he's in
What happened
Texas.
last night too.
Oh, he's in Texas.
with T.O.
What's
and,
up, JB?
Oh, gotcha.
and Burn. They're at Burn's
And Burn.
We can't hear you if you can hear us.
Yeah, I can't hear you. So
Okay.
Lucky you.
Oh, Christ, there goes the neighborhood.
place. Right.
So Jim pretty much hit it. If you have a high noise at your area,
That's just stupid that it doesn't work.
a receiving antenna can help you
Could
out a
mute him, I
lot,
guess.
I just did.
I guess.
There you go.
That was perfect.
Ban hammer.
And what I didn't really realize is a lot of these
He's
guys,
standing there
like
cussing
the,
right now.
right, the stuff you were showing there earlier on that guy's QRZ page, these guys are using receiving antennas are generally lost the word. They're you aim them.
Digital.
Hey, thanks, Digital Rancher.
Rob, appreciate it, man.
Son.
Awesome. Thank you there, Digital Rancher, Rob.
Roberto.
A lot of these receiving antennas are they're directive. You direct it in certain directions. Like when the DX Commander was doing his the other day, he was directing his towards the U.S. at the time.
I can hear
That's
you
what he
now.
was looking for. Can you? You look comfy.
That's a nice chair.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
It's
Still have the Christmas
yes.
decorations up, I see.
This is not my house.
It's not his house.
I wasn't judging.
It's way too big.
I mean,
It's way too big to be his
Yeah.
house.
We don't have the mallards. You don't have the mallards in the
right, there's
background.
no ducks on the wall.
That's been gone for like 6 months.
Yeah, you can say it's like a T.O. shack or something now.
Yeah. Where you been, Jim? So
Oh,
Tio,
yes.
what's up? What's happening?
We're going out and doing a POTA activation this morning, and we've been doing some ham radio nonsense for the past couple of days. It's been good.
Oh, y'all are going to have a pileup then. It's going to be like one of those multi-op pileups.
Oh yeah, there's 4.
5 or 6 of you.
Yeah, there's four ops. One
Yeah,
of
yeah,
them's
you pass
female,
on
so
those.
that's going to work too.
Yeah. You just put Renee on the mic and then just, copy down all the call
Right.
signs.
Right.
A lot of times I'll pass on those because it just takes way too much time when you're hunting.
I'm actually with you. I just get tired of sitting there
I hate
waiting.
to tell you guys that, but and I've been part of that before, so I understand it, guys.
It
But it's
depends on who it
exciting.
is. I'll probably get them. I'll hit them up.
You guys are going to be in Texas, so that's an easy shot for me.
Yep.
Same here.
Except for 2.0 was on 10 meters the other day, and I don't know if anybody heard him. To tell you the truth, because I couldn't hear him, and maybe it was too short a distance for me for that, because I was actually here in the East Coast at the time.
What
Too
park are
short.
guys
What are you
gonna
making jokes
activate?
or something like that?
No, I wasn't talking about you. I wasn't talking about Jason. It actually kind of worked, but I mean, I wasn't really meaning that. So a lot of these guys that guy probably had a bunch of antennas in different directions for listening. And basically, I don't know if you guys, have you guys ever played with 2 separate antennas, like a radio that has where you can switch, or a switch that you can switch back and forth? You guys
Well,
mess
my,
with that
my
much?
tuner has 2
Yeah.
antennas on it, so I have done that.
You
Yeah,
can
I
do it
do.
with tuners and I noticed I had the DX Commander up for a while, and I had it set up for, I had it for 80 for a while. And I was talking to Gary in the chat here in his group, and they're everywhere. Like he's in Indianapolis area, and then it was a couple guys were in New York, and I noticed even though verticals are known to be a little noisy sometimes, the noise is different. And sometimes I could hear those guys, and certain guys, I could hear them better on the vertical than I could and it could have been a distance thing too, than I could my doublet. Most of the time I use my doublet, but so to have multiple antennas, and that was just a regular transmitting 80 for 80. I could transmit on it too, those guys. So it wasn't really something for, low band and receiving. It wasn't considered a receiving antenna other than just a regular antenna.
Yeah, so
but it did make a difference.
I'm not an expert on receiving antennas by any stretch of the imagination, but when a lot of people put these antennas on the ground, like a loop on the ground or a straight wire on the ground or something like that, if you think back to the NVIS video that we did, when it's on the ground, you don't get all of the incident angles coming off the ionosphere, which is one of the reasons why you get a lot of that noise. The other thing is that there's a lot of man-made noise that is typically vertically polarized down around ground level, which you don't get when you have that antenna laying on the ground. So it lowers your noise floor, but the only way that you're really going to pick up signals is if they're raining down at more of a steep angle on that. So if you hear somebody there, it's like, oh my gosh, I can hear so well. Unless the antenna that you're transmitting on is strong in terms of takeoff angle in the same at the same incident, you're probably going to have a little bit of struggle hitting them. Now everybody's gonna be like, well, I can hit them just fine. And that may be true. But if I was really interested in setting up a receive antenna, I would probably look at like a mag loop that I would have horizontally mounted up in the air. And the reason that people like to use the mag loops for that is because they have a low Q, right? So you can use the Q factor on that antenna to really cut out most of your noise that way. It's a really popular option.
Yeah. So basically it says antenna efficiency is important to a transmitting antenna getting the best signal to noise ratio at a distant station. And that's kind of something Jim was asking me earlier, if you actually need to tune it. And I do believe that tuning it will help the receive also, but it's not as important. A receiving antenna's goal is to obtain signal that can be heard comfortably. And that's kind of a, you guys, some radios, like my 991A was like a really easy listening. That the receive on that thing was, I would say, soft. I don't know if that makes sense, but it always sounded easy on your ears. And some radios are just that way, but that's what you're looking for in your antenna. Something that you listen to, that you can listen to for a long time. You don't want to hear a lot of noise. And which means having the greatest possible signal to noise and signal to QRM ratio. Receiving antennas with the best performance will be different under different circumstances, even at the same or similar locations. There is no such thing as a universal receiving antenna, which kind of brings me back to how guys are, you set one up and it's good for certain areas, but you set another one up at a 90 to it, and it'll listen in different directions. A lot of these things are loops for the listening antennas. There's also the beverage antenna. We'll talk about different antennas towards the end here. So we got to keep you guys around. Abe thought he was wrong, but he was wrong. All right,
he
Jim.
was wrong. There's a couple 3 questions in the chat. Ham till it hurts.
Before we get too far into that, Ryan said that Mike had to show the hand he wipes with, and no, we have bidets on all the toilets here. Mike is good. Right. Mike is good.
Did Mike install them?
No, they came here. They took good care of it.
That's where Mike got his.
Yeah, but see, Mike's the kind of guy who wipes from left to right. It's messy, but he gets a job done. You know what I mean?
Left to right, Mike?
He's always wiping up the rear. Yeah.
I wipe up the POTA contacts. What you got to say about that, boy?
Yeah, I saw you work once.
Say again.
Or twice.
I don't know.
Again.
He was all right.
Again. You're 5'9". You're 5'9". USL.
So, Jim, what was the question? You said you had a question. What about diversity receive?
About diversity receive, which is, as far as I'm concerned, essentially what. You're vicious. Did he leave or did you do that, Ape?
It wasn't me.
Okay.
Oh, good.
That was a clown show going on there. I mean, that's essentially what you're doing, right? With a receive antenna.
Kind of. I think what he's talking about is listening to both ears, and a lot of radios can't do that.
Yeah.
You gotta have
the 7610 does it. The Flex does it. Sure, others do it.
you're going to be in the 101, 7610 flexes. I can probably do it on the Hermes. I know Don would know that, but he may not do it. I know it has a receive port also on that radio, and I haven't tried it yet.
And if I'm not mistaken, diversity receive is where the tuner discriminates and favors the better signal. I think something like that, because they've been using diversity receive on Wi-Fi routers forever.
And Don says it's not a receive antenna is not diversity. But Don, don't you have to have two different antennas though? Let's
To
don't
have
call it
diversity
receive
reception,
to have
yeah.
diversity. So yes, Don, I think it could be right.
Yeah, I
Not
think it
answering.
could be.
He's
but-
not answering now. Call it
All of
his
a
bluff.
sudden, he clammed up.
That's right.
All right, LC said, so would a receive antenna make sense when you're using a high power amp where you're going to reach a weak station, but your TX antenna may not pick them up? That's what I was saying, LC.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah, you're gonna listen on one, but not and receive antennas are not for transmitting, guys. Let's just get that out of the way because that should be a question here one of these days. But
hence the name,
it's for
right?
yeah, it's for receiving. Most of them are not set up to actually transmit on. So
Well, you
and,
can make them a lot cheaper that way too, right?
Right.
So you don't need the same size transformers, you don't need the same
Right.
size cable and all that other
yeah,
stuff.
everything can be smaller. And Gary brings up the K9AY loop antenna. We'll talk about that one later. That's one of the ones I have keyed up.
This is one kind of for the primate. Sean's asking about the Q factor was mostly a transmit attribute. Can you explain a little more how cute? I think he means Q. You were talking in your phone on that one, weren't you? How Q factor affects receive.
So the Q factor is how tight your dip is when you look at resonance of your antenna or matching of your antenna. And so that would be transmit and receive. And when you start to use antennas that use a lot of capacitance or inductance to be matched or resonant, you get that much more narrow set of bandwidth that the radio, the antenna will oscillate on. So it works for both. So when you listen on a loop antenna, like a mag loop, not like a sky loop or a delta loop or any of that, but when you listen on a mag loop, you're going to hear a bunch of noise and stuff like that you don't want to until you get it tuned into the frequency that you're listening on. And once you do that, you're going to have very quiet, low noise floor and strong signals because of that. So it impacts both. It impacts both is a short answer.
Like Gary says, it's bandwidth, and when Ape's talking about a magnetic loop, they're very, very narrow bands. So that's a high Q type antenna.
Yeah.
And Jim brings up a good point here. Let me tack on Jim's. If I hit the right one here, most of them are fed with a 75 ohm, and that is true. When you look at certain antennas, they'll ask you if you're going to use 50 ohm or 75 ohm. They sell both a lot of times, a lot of the companies, and a lot of them are fed. And my buddy Andy down in San Diego was talking about, I forget which, I think it was the beverage antenna. He was talking about using like RG6 coax for the wire.
Yeah,
and
that's 75.
and tie them both ends together, tying the shield to the center and using that for the wire. I guess maybe because it would be pretty robust for leaving outside all the time and stuff.
Honest TV or satellite coax generally is what RG6 is for.
Yeah, a lot of people do use it for antennas as the element.
Right.
Don, we were talking about mag loops, son. Mag loops.
Yes, mag loops, Don. Keep up, Don. One of them you can't solder, and I don't know what one of the 75 ohms you can't solder. I thought it's either 11. Isn't 11 also 75 ohm?
I don't know what RG11 is. I've never heard of that.
I don't mess with 75 ohm cables. I don't know.
But a lot of times you're feeding it with that, and that just has to do with your how you build your little box for them. A lot of times,
and you have to account for 75 ohm coax going to a 50 ohm radio.
It makes when you start wrapping your toroid, it makes a difference.
Yeah, you've got to match that, right? You want to try and match that 50 ohm impedance.
And I'm learning, guys. So if I get something wrong, go ahead and throw it up there. And if you know more, that's fine. So you have gain versus directivity, not diversity, directivity. And directivity is not the same as gain. It is possible to construct a very directive antenna that actually have negative gain but provide phenomenal receive improvements. We need directivity, not gain, for good receiving systems. And this is straight out of the book. I put air quotes and everything around it, guys. So I'm quoting that. And I've seen this before. Like yesterday, I was talking to my buddy. I was listening to my buddies down in San Diego and the LA area on 40. And I'm like, wow, their signals aren't very good. And they were talking about, it's the doldrums in the middle of the day. I was on my Yagi. But what's cool is I can't transmit on that because it's good for 20, is as low as it goes. But you talk about a receive antenna, if it receives the signal, it's super quiet because it's not efficient at all on 40. And my buddy, he's always like S10 or S9 plus 10 or 20, so it's not hard to hear him. But I was even picking up the guy that was really low, who had like an S5 signal. But what I wasn't hearing, and this is what receive antennas do, is they get rid of a lot of the ambient noise.
Well, it's attenuation, right? So it pulls down the entire. If you look at your scope, it pulls everything down. So
but it seems to pull the noise out more than it does the signal sometimes.
Yeah, because a lot of that
thing
noise,
on your radio,
right? Because a lot of that noise is coming in at those takeoff angles that we were talking about.
Right.
We were talking about earlier on.
And most of the people that are going to do stuff like this, I think Don's done some of it, but. Careful, Chuck. The chat always knows more. That's true, and all my subscribers and my viewers know more too. Most of them, or not all of them. Some of them.
Well, I always get one or two that come in my comments that know more, and they have no problem letting you know. You know that's what I was saying.
And
last
sometimes
night.
you make a mistake.
We are surrounded by experts.
If you want to learn something about amateur radio, the best possible thing you could do is make a video on it, because the experts come out of the woodwork and let you know where you messed up.
And we're certainly not experts on any of this.
No,
and Gary makes a good point here.
We just like to screw around on YouTube.
So we all use 50 ohm stuff, but he's saying that a horizontal dipole is truly 73 ohms. So RG6
okay,
works.
so you get about 1.5 SWR. Okay.
Yeah. All right. It's out there. I mean, it's actually easier to find in the store than 50 ohm because you can go to any big box store and find it.
He's on you today. He's
he
with
is.
me.
Right. I was like, look, can we go back to attacking Jim? Can you leave me alone today, please?
Abe, show us where it hurts on the wheel of feelings there, buddy.
Right, I have to pull the wheel of feelings up.
You can buy receiving loops. Okay, Don, I said it. You can buy receiving loops. I think MFJ makes one actually. And that would actually, for what Ape was doing, it might even be better because I think I don't know that there's any adjustment on those.
Sure, we'll get some 75. That'd be awesome.
I have some. I think I got a whole spool of 75 ohm on a shelf out in the shop somewhere.
Do you?
Well, everybody does, right?
We might be using this stuff
from TV
then.
days.
And we're actually talking about selling kits. We just started talking about it, so guys, don't hold me to this yet, but we may sell some kits for the loops on the ground. Pretty
It takes
easy
us
kit to
about
build.
17 months in order to go from conception to market.
R&D.
Yeah, actually, this one should be pretty easy. It's a matter of having. I've already got boxes for it. If you guys don't mind, a BNC connector with an adapter, if you have to.
And there's,
but,
when we work on
different
these
boxes.
antennas, there's a lot of research. That's Chuck and Ape both. There's lab testing. That's Ape, and then Chuck takes it out and breaks it 3 or 4 times, and comes back to Ape and goes, "You lab guys."
When Chuck does he's a master at getting everything to fit on the frame and how we're going to do all the connections and all that kind of stuff. I always white trash it together, which is no good.
and then he'll do a video on it and do it totally different, and then it's like, man, why did you guys watch Ape's video on that?
There's the Swede.
The Swede.
So,
thank you, Morton. Hold on, Chuck. Morton, appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, he's probably right. You can probably get reams of 75 ohm coax at any Hamfest, I would imagine.
I think the RG11 is like the upgraded. I think it's better than RG6. I don't remember. I looked into it one time, And I think DX Engineering actually sells RG11 for ham stuff.
Brian
I may be
Wally,
back. I might be
think,
backwards on that though.
Hayden, Ham Radio DX, did a video not long ago. I don't know, maybe a year ago. Been a while. He made a 10-meter antenna using RG6, using 75 ohm cable.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, a lot of people will use
didn't
it.
Get very good results, but I didn't have exactly the right size.
A lot of people use it as actually the elements for their antenna, right? So, like, if you do like, I think they call it a sleeve dipole vertical. Like, you could do one for 10 meters. You would use the.
What are they using for the bazookas?
I don't know.
Is that what they use for it? I don't think it matters. You're just using the wire, right?
Yeah, I never looked
it's heavy
at it.
For it. Heavy.
I don't really have any 75 ohm cable here, and I'm like, I'm not going to go buy it or any of that stuff. Now, one of the things about some of the 75 ohm cable is that it's rated for lower power, right? It's not rated the same way that some of the ham cable is. So I don't know if you can run 100 watts through it. I'm sure there's some that you can, but I think that there's some that you can't.
But if you're using it for a receive antenna,
then you would be fine.
You're golden on that, yeah.
He caught me off guard. They popped that in on me. Yeah, he says bazookas. Gary's saying the bazookas. I think Cap meant Captain. So there's various antennas. There's the K9 AY. That's one Gary talked about earlier. That's basically it could be a single loop, but a lot of times it's two loops, and they're at 90 to each other, I believe. They don't actually touch. That was one of the things I did read. You have the bogged down receive antenna, and that's a beverage on the ground, because a beverage antenna usually is 4 to 6 feet off the ground a lot of times. But what happened?
He was having mic trouble before the show. Now he's having camera trouble. I know. I'll tell you, this guy is low rent.
Never ending.
White trash in it, buddy. Just like
he is.
My friend in Nebraska. What can I say?
So the bog antenna, basically what it does, it's a beverage antenna on the ground. And I don't even have the beverage antenna. I think it was all in the same thing that I'm going to bring up. And then you have the loop on the ground, which has been very popular. Don talks about it almost every show. Sometimes.
That he talks about that in his Hermes Light a lot.
That and there's two, yeah. Don has a lot of stuff, man. He's got two locations. He's got 2 locations now. I don't think Flex is the one he flexes, dude. I think he flexes his Anon.
He flexes whatever we're not talking about.
Right, it doesn't matter as long as it's something that he has that we're not discussing. Right, he'll talk.
We're not discussing. That's right. That's what Don is going to be talking about. That's right, Jeff. It is. It's Alabama,
and he says,
son. What do you expect?
He says a log is also a beverage on the ground. It's different, Don. They're different.
They're different because that was my question. Actually,
how are they different? Because
I'm with the old geezer on this one. How are they different?
As far as I'm concerned, you have an isolation transformer for the loop on the ground, and when you do a bog or a loop or the other one,
a log or a bog.
The bogged antenna basically it's terminated with a capacitor, right?
Okay.
So it's a little different, Don. I mean, they're the same but different.
Here we go. He says he runs both. I don't believe it, because the only time Don does any running is to the comment section, right? I mean, he ain't running nothing else.
I think he was talking about using it, not running, actually, not doing his
they're both
1K.
But the bog is a receive antenna as well.
Yeah, it's just
I'm trying to keep on track.
Beverage. It's a beverage antenna on the ground antenna. Basically, it's the same thing, except that a regular beverage antenna usually is that 4 to 6 feet, I think, or 3 to 6 feet, something like that, which could present a problem for people. I mean, like me, I could run a really long one out the back and just run it up in the field behind my house, and probably nobody'd ever see it. And since you're not going to transmit on it, it's not a danger to anybody. All I'm going to do is listen to it. You don't want to transmit on these things, because you may not have a good radio after that. What do we got here?
Aaron's talking about a 75 ohm mix for matching networks, which is, again, what Hayden was doing when he made his 10-meter antenna. He had a match unit that was coiled RG6. I'm almost positive it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, like a
you'll
lot of
see-
people use that for stubs, right? Matching
yeah,
stubs.
yeah, that too. Mhm.
Right. Well, Colin did that in his. I don't know if that was 75 ohm they used, but he used coax for a matching unit in his 5/8 wave. Was it 5/8 wave?
Man, that guy Colin, he's a bright guy.
Well, he's got a
Talking
cool
to-
accent that adds 3 dB at least.
Right. And I was okay. I'm trying to do two things here.
But he's got a heck of a shop too with all kinds of stuff. I would love to go play at his house. You know what I mean? Like I would love to see what he's got going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
He really embraces that homebrew antenna life. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hey, Jesse's wife, he needs an HF radio.
Hey, and the best deal right now is a FT 710.
There we go.
Best deal out there. No, I'm just saying it is the best.
He's got stock
$800.
in that
Come on,
company or something like that.
$800. So let me share this one. This
He's
is
getting
your.
he's getting under the table kickbacks from Kruk.
I wish, man. Kruk don't help me out there at all, man. So this is the. It's called the K9AY terminated loop. So it's a compact directional receive antenna. Now he offers. There's a bunch of stuff, and you can buy the stuff from him someplace. Where I think DX Engineering may sell his stuff, and he has like switching units, so you can switch these antennas for different. You know, it's like you guys heard of four squares, how you can switch it like 4 different directions. Kind of the same thing, but for listening. It only takes up 30 feet of a circumference. So let me come down to the. So, and that's it at the very bottom there, compared to other. I guess this is this bigger section here is a bigger EWES. And I don't know what that stands for. Somebody can help in the thing. It's probably
E-Wiz.
there someplace. But I guess that's a typical listening antenna there, receiving antenna. And then the K9 loops. He actually, I read some stuff on this. I think it was this guy. He was actually looking at somebody else's antenna, and when he was doing INZEC or whatever it is that Ape does sometimes, the antenna.
MMVNA guy.
Yeah, and this thing just kind of happened on it, but it kind of sounded like he just punched some numbers in and it worked, and he's like, "Whoa, this works!" You know. The advantage to this one is it's for most of us we don't have, you know, if that's 30 feet, the other one's probably 200 or 300 feet circumference, right? So, I don't know a lot about this antenna, but I talked to my buddy Andy down in San Diego, and he's going to put his up. And most of this stuff, like I said, guys, is like 80 and 160. I think it'll help on 42 because 40 gets some noise, but like right now we should be in the noisy time, I think, of 80.
And if you look on DX Engineering, they have. I'm looking for that specific one, Chuck.
I can't.
Well,
Yeah.
pull it up, Jim. Damn.
Well, there's nothing to show yet. Just hold your water, old man.
The other nice thing on this one
they
is
have
it's only
a lot of loop antennas, is what I was going to say.
Yeah, they do have a lot of stuff. This one it's only 25 feet in the air also. So it's fairly obtainable, something that most people can obtain 25 feet.
So I was trying to find that one that Chuck is talking about.
There's the MFJ High Q.
Yep.
I think that's
Yeah, that's the
listening
one I
loop
was
there.
talking about earlier.
Super high Q. Super. Wow. They're
Super everything.
proud of that.
Yeah, them jokers are expensive, but here's the thing: is it so like an antenna will have an attribute, right? So these loops, they're high Q antennas. So what they'll come on there and be like, this antenna is super high Q. It's got so much Q that'll make your mom sick. You know what I mean? Like I just don't understand.
Right. Right.
I don't know.
I don't think that's the section. Look in the section that's. Oh, you got it there. It's like
I just
It's
looked up
another
loop antennas is what I
go to
did.
antenna. Just go to antennas.
That looks like a
Antennas.
scissor jack.
It
This
does.
is- we're
Oh,
in
I've seen that
antennas, Chuck.
before. That's antennas. That's the first
Yes.
section.
Yes.
Didn't mean
Antennas.
you moved.
Now
You
we're at the
moved.
basic of antennas. There you go.
Okay, that's where I wanted to be.
Well, we're already
Um,
at loop antennas.
Phased. Look at vertical phased antennas. That might be where that stuff is at. I know it's different than loops, but
Vertical phased arrays.
a lot of this stuff is phasing stuff also. So this loop.
Now, see, there's
Let's
receive
just go-
antennas and arrays.
Right. Oh, there you go. And this is probably where that stuff is.
Right, Taylor.
There's a reversible beverage system right there. That's cheap. I'll have to look at that later. But a lot of these things, like this K9AY, we'll go back to that one for now. Oh, look, that looks like ape stuff there.
Yeah, I was saying, what we got going on there?
These are receive filters.
Yeah, filters.
Receive only, band past 10 meters. I got
What you know about that, son?
There's some pretty toroids, boy.
Look at that, $150.
Yeah,
I should go into business over here.
You should.
Yeah, there's look a little. Oh, well, never mind.
There's a lot of receive filters.
There's the kits there too.
Yep.
How much
All
are
right,
those kits? Let's take. Hold on now.
They're
Everybody just calm
$25.
themselves.
All right.
37.
Let's see. Those 20 meter kit, it's 50 bucks.
Huh.
That
I think
doesn't
that's a
look
kit.
Well,
Maybe it's not a kit. That might not be a kit.
It looks like you got to add your own roids.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, they did the soldering, or at least in this picture, they've done the.
That part's easy.
Yeah.
If you had the
That's-
Kai Wheats solder station recently.
If you have the
you'd
Kai
buy
Wheats
VPs.
KOT 936 solder station, that's right.
All right, let's go back to my my thing here,
Abe,
Jim.
go
I don't
back.
know.
I'm still looking for this other thing.
Do I have to add it to the stage? There we go. Maybe it was me. So this uses this uses
sidekick to do that. He was apparently sleeping.
this uses a
Got all
9-to-1
tingly about the kids.
impedance matching transformer. So nothing that most of us haven't already done. So I wouldn't say it was super hard. It uses I forget the.
He said 9-to-1 in there somewhere.
It did. It's right here. It says
Right there.
right
Are
there.
you talking to me or Chuck?
I was talking to
I
Charles.
just did. There's a 9-to-1.
Chuck, could you
But I
embiggen
was-
that? Because that's pretty
Oh,
damn
here it is.
small.
Oh, man, it's about to go off my page, dude. I can go a little bigger.
Chuck's got 640 by 480 on that 14-inch monitor.
So you can see him with his
Can you guys
cataract.
Right.
see if I go down one? You can see it. I have it actually pretty big. Let me tell you. So only
That's what
85
she
feet of
didn't
wire
say.
too. So 85 feet here, total length of wire. Here's a better picture of it. And a lot of these use grounding rods. And the guy, it goes in one of them, it says, and you only need to get it in 4 feet. So
What is that, like a rhombus or something like that? What shape is that? I guess it's a
it's
brilliant
like a
cut
delta,
inverted diamond. It's a
like a
inverted
delta.
brilliant cut diamond.
right? Delta loop. But right here you have your, I don't know if you guys can see my cursor. It's a 9-to-1 transformer on this side. And then we have the terminating resistor, which is different than one of the antennas we'll talk about later.
Yeah,
Just
those
saying,
terminated
just saying.
resistors. I've been trying to find a good one, and them things are expensive.
Yes, they are.
They're making them out of like multiple ones. They do say that one of the guys, one of the things I watched, the guy was talking about, he had multiple ones and they're quick change because if it's too close to your, say you're putting out 1500 watts, if it's too close to your transmit antenna, sometimes it blows those capacitors out. I don't know. This is what I read, guys. So it
I
shows
found
15
his
feet on
webpage.
each side
They
there.
sell a kit.
Oh, you found his webpage?
Yeah.
It might not have been that one that was on DX Engineering.
I didn't find it on DX Engineering.
So they talk about building it, get 2 links of 85 foot of wire. They're saying 14 gauge is pretty good. And it just goes through. I'll put links in this later, guys, hopefully, to so you can go back to read this stuff on your own. And this is just
Let's see what we got going on there.
well, this is like a blow up of that. So you have your ground rod. Now I don't understand this part here. You have insulators, and it looks like the ground rod is only, I don't know what it's hooked to.
It doesn't look like it's hooked to anything.
Because why would you have insulators if the wire's not hooked to the ground rod? So
Well, no.
Maybe-
Here, Chuck, let me hang on. Keep your thought, but hold on.
okay.
So this is off his webpage. So that's a matching transformer and termination which I assume is hooked to the ground rod there.
Yeah, maybe the transformer is hooked to it. Because that one shows it hooked to the right. Well, if you look at the next picture, there's a pipe.
Old Liberty
in there
Cave
that's
is
hooked to
saying it's a rod in the ground, not a ground rod, meaning that it's a mounting rod. But in this picture, the feller's calling it a ground rod.
He's calling that a ground rod.
What was it saying on Chuck's?
Same thing. It says ground rod and it says ground.
That's right, Liberty.
Yeah, take that.
Try and confuse us with your words.
I'm
Right,
totally confused.
and your
Like,
and your
this one,
hyperlinks.
see this picture here. Maybe I can.
Here we go.
Click on
Well,
it.
this is the same
We're
thing
not
Chuck
on
was saying. A 4-foot ground rod, such as 3/4 diameter copper, is often sufficient.
You need
If
to
you're-
make that, Jim.
If you're dry, hang on. Maybe too big. Let's see.
That's good.
Maybe.
Okay. If you're dry,
it
a
just-
longer
just
rod
fits.
is advised to reach the moist part. Or
You don't want to be working dry.
right, you
That's
always
right.
want it moist. Or you may install 4 or more 15 to 20 foot radio wires for better coupling.
Okay. So it is. It's probably grounded inside the box
That would be my guess, since they're mounting that
to the
box
9
on
to
the
1.
ground rod.
So there's
yeah.
so it's a 9 to 1. So you have the ground lug, right? And then it's basically saying if you need more to put some radios out. So that's one antenna you guys can do, and basically it doesn't take up a lot of room.
No, this is pretty simple.
But you
and
do
not a
have
lot
to
it.
hang it. But it's only 25 feet and 85 foot of wire. But it's 85 times 2 if you do the whole thing, right? So you're putting them at 90
feet's a lot
feet.
of wire, though. I mean, if
That
you
is
ask
a lot
me,
of
that's
wire.
That's a big antenna.
Well,
Right.
but you're only 25 feet high to peak, which is problematic enough. And then this is going out
And it's
You're only
15
going out
feet each
30
way.
30 feet
So 30
total.
feet.
I mean, 30 feet, in
A lot of these
diameter. It's
a lot of
not
these
bad.
antennas are for people that have lots of property. I mean, now
Plus,
Gary's
once you
been
gotta
lucky
tie it
enough.
off, so you got
Right.
two spots there. You got anchors to something.
We should have Gary on the show if he get his computer upgraded. He has actually been able to go up into a contesting station and do contesting, and he's been able to use a lot of this stuff. He said he said they have 4 or 5 like 500-foot wires out for just listening.
Am I still
I don't know
shared?
what. Yes, you are.
Yeah. See that, Liberty? The highlighted part? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The antenna
Yeah.
is properly connected to the ground rod.
All right. So that's
interesting.
That's
So
one
that's
antenna.
aytechnologies.com, by the way. And I'll post a link for this in the chat.
There you go. Actually, I could have done that here too. Hang on a second.
Yeah, probably
I will
not.
put.
Chuck,
I
the
will
stream's
put-
only an hour and a half long. We ain't
So
nobody got
what
time
do
for
you?
that.
Gary needs to upgrade his
Shut
computer.
up,
Is that what
man.
you were saying?
Well, that's the last time I talked to him.
I guess Windows 95 finally isn't supported anymore.
Hey,
He loves that solitaire game.
He might have that because he's been doing this a long time. All right,
He's
so
got one of those radiation monitors with the tube in it. And all that.
let's look at the bogged down receive antennas. So it's
Oh,
antennas on
Lord.
the receive antennas on the ground.
Here we go.
Let me share this. Let me
Ain't
see
You
if
got
I
to
can.
plus
read
that
that.
up. You got to plus it up.
Control plus,
God,
Chuck.
hang on.
Control plus. What are you
Oh,
doing?
control. I don't know all that
Jesus
stuff.
Christ. Crack.
Where's plus?
Right next to
I
minus.
must not be on the right spot though. There we go. That better?
There you go.
There we go.
That's better.
Holy cow! I can't hardly read it. It's so close now.
He's got to back up a couple of feet.
I'm gonna have to go to the back of the room here now.
Chuck, maybe buy a
So-
monitor that was made in the 2020s instead of the 1920s.
This is a new monitor, man.
He's got a
It's not
dot. He's got a
greatest.
dot matrix monitor.
Is that a VT52 or something you're looking at?
So this guy's talking how many hams I know are serious about 160, 180 operators. Beverage antennas optimize HF receive. HF antennas make the difference in pulling out weak signals out of noise, but conventional beverage antennas are completely out of the question for many of us who live in small lots. They are generally hundreds of feet long and need to be installed they're actually saying 5 to 10 feet above the ground to work the low bands. Catch 22 is we don't have the room for it. So enter the Bog beverage on the ground antenna. This is different than what our buddy Don talks about. The loop on
Please
the
don't
ground.
read all that, right?
No, I'm not going to. I'm just going to summarize a few things. Basically, it's saying a straight run of around right here. I'll meet.
Look, he didn't capitalize the word earth.
God darn it. You're just like those guys that watch your videos.
Yeah.
But what it says is 160 to 200 feet long because the overall electrical length of the antenna is nearly twice as long as the physical length. So the ground, I guess, is making it longer, right? How about the bog roll? I don't even know what that one is, Jason.
British for toilet paper.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what a bog roll is.
Okay. And this is, like conventional beverages, terminating with a resistor of 240 ohms. And I don't know if they show the resistor in here. This might be the one. I think the resistor, and I know somebody can tell me if it's not right, but I think the resistor goes towards the direction you want it to go.
Yes, I believe that is the case.
Yeah.
If I remember right. And it says it uses a 4-to-1 transformer. So something that most of us have built, especially if you build any of our antennas, a 4-to-1 is, I think we have a 4-to-1 out there, right? It's soon to have another one.
We don't have one yet.
We don't have one out there now. Mm-mm.
This is the 4-to-1. You can see I was testing it right here.
What's the Mercury?
Mercury's
Mercury's just a
9-to-1.
1-to-1. It's a
one to
Mercury's a 1-to-1. Excuse me. That's what I was
I
thinking.
can't keep track. It's too many.
I can't either, and I built all the kits. So the ready-made version is this KD9 SV products. So we can probably find that if you guys need it.
Let me go find
And
that.
we're not associated with any of these guys. If you buy their stuff, it's on them. All right. We're not sponsored by any of these things, but this is just stuff I found. Oh, this is the guy some of his stuff is DX Engineering. I was wrong on the other guy. Sorry there, Jim. It has a bunch of different places. And let me throw this one in. I can throw this in the chat also.
Now, these are available at DX Engineering.
Yeah.
If you look up KD9SV.
And Abe, I want you to read this part here.
Well, hold on. I'm looking at these fancy. It is strongly recommended that you install a common mode choke in the feed line with a ground stake at a distance of about 33 feet from the antenna feed point. Well, that's a good idea.
So it's kind of goes with that. Always be choking.
Right.
Choke it like you mean it. Choke it like you mean it.
So here's the deal. You have a earth ground and an earth ground twice, right? At each end of this. And then your resistor, your 240 ohm resistor. Now you're not really using this antenna to transmit on, guys. So I think it goes in. If you read all this stuff, I think this is the one I read. It tells you the quality of resistors you can use for this. And I think on one of these things I read, it was talk about they're really expensive on some of them, but you can make your own.
And, with that resistor, though, so with this just being a receive-only antenna, you probably can get away with, like a $2 resistor or something like that,
right?
Like a 5 watt. So it's not like when you use some of those antennas where they want you to use like a 200 watt, 200 watt resistor, which costs you 100.
Where it becomes a problem. Where it becomes a problem is if you guys are running 1,500 watts and these antennas are close to each other. That's what he was saying. Most guys out here probably run 100, 500. It probably isn't a problem. You just kind of want this away from your regular transmit antenna.
And something I saw when I was reading about these, there's no gain on these antennas. You
actually remember we talked about gain is not important.
Right, the reason is because you're reducing the noise level so that signal to noise ratio improves is the big deal.
Right.
And basically they're talking about this
perceiving more signal.
I might actually do this one because this one it's just a straight, I don't know, unfortunately the unfortunate thing for me, the direction I would want to point it would be the longest coax lay for me. Because I want to go I got to go that way with the antenna, but I want it to point the other way. So I may actually do the leap on the ground, and it's basically they say it's easier because you're just laid in the ground than the regular beverage antenna that's off the ground, right? Because regular one, you got to keep it. You got to say 500 feet of wire, but it's got to be off the ground, and you got to support that somehow.
So
The
yeah,
bottom
that's saying
strand,
that's
I
saying
would
that's
say.
negative. That's negative gain on that antenna.
Yes.
But again,
Right.
him till it hurts is saying. So which strand of the 5-strand barbed wire fence, 100 acres worth? That sounds like an awful lot. Would be a good. Would that be a good receive loop? I don't know, man. Try it though. I mean, it'd be interesting to.
That
Give
might
it a
work
try.
really well.
Well, but the thing is, the
You
barbed
have to
wire
make
is
sure
going
it's
to
all
be ground
connected.
coupled. It's going to be ground coupled through the stakes. Now, the electric fence wire, if you have electric fence but are not electronet, is going to be isolated from the actual barbed wire.
Well, go back to that diagram. They have it grounded, right?
Well, if you keep reading that article,
See, look, they got it. This is earth ground.
yeah, they're saying the antenna is not grounded, but the transformer is grounded. So,
So is the resistor.
yeah.
It's terminated with that.
Well, if you scroll
I've
down,
never-
they talk about it specifically with the ground. So Liberty's not possibly completely wrong.
Don't
Keep
don't say that
going.
out loud, man.
Keep
Don't say
going.
it out loud.
Boy.
No, we don't have wooden fence posts. We've got steel fence posts.
Oh, most of the stuff around me is wooden.
Not for the barbed wire. It's all steel.
No, man, you can put that on wood.
You can put it on wood, but ours
They
is
say a
all
variant
steel
of the-
fence posts.
A variant of the bog antenna is called the snake antenna, made from coax. It can be a coax that happened to be lying around, like RG58, 59, just cheap stuff, looks like. A tip is this: the center conductor must be connected to the braid. That's what my buddy Andy was talking about.
So I took I have a 100-foot run of coax cable. It's RG8X out back. And I went and I took it off of the transformer, my 49-to-1, and I just laid it on the ground. And I don't remember why I did it. I think I did it because of storm or something like that. And I forgot about it. And like a week
Miller Lite
later,
was involved.
right. And so like a week later, I turned my radio on and I'm like, man, look at this noise floor. What in the heck is going on? Like, because it was like all the way down. But I could hear signals. And it took me a while to figure out what I had done. I do stuff like that often.
Yeah. So you're just listening through your coax on the ground.
Right.
Now, going back to his barbed wire fence, even if you can't use, so our barbed wire is on steel fence posts, so it's ground coupled already. But what you can do is you can use, and I've seen a couple articles on this, you can get electric fence wire, which is aluminum wire,
Mm-hmm.
and electric fence insulators, which clamp onto the steel posts. I don't know about you wooden people. I guess you have to pound them in with a nail or something. And isolate it from the fence. So then you could run your loop on the ground along the fence line as a receive antenna, and it would be isolated from the metal that's fastened to the
They make them they make those insulators for the metal post. It's
Yes.
like a little triangle.
Yeah,
It goes
it's
over the
a
top.
little
and then
yellow
for the other
plastic
ones,
dingus that snaps on.
right?
Mhm.
Exactly. Tractor Supply.
Tractor
And then they
Supply will
also
have
make
them in
they
a
also
bucket
make the
loads.
ones they also make the ones. Remember the ones I use for my Moxon?
Yes.
Those
Chuck
are
said
made to
Moxon,
nail.
Ding, ding, ding,
Those
bingo.
those are made to nail to wood or like
Do you
a
have one
tree or
handy?
something like that. I thought I had one sitting here.
Be careful.
He's going to slip.
Here's one here, but it has
There
the
goes
end
the
of it
hip.
cut off. It has like a round end at the end out here.
Yep.
It has a little small hole in it on this side,
Yep.
and you just nail that to it, and then it has that part for
To
holding
hold
the
the wire
wires.
as a standoff. Yep.
right there.
Yep.
So same thing.
The
So
metal ones, the metal ones just kind of snap on the fence post.
Well, they make a plastic one like this. It looks same
No, I mean,
color,
the ones
everything.
the ones for metal fence posts, they're different.
Oh, okay.
They snap.
Oh,
on
they
the,
snap
the
on,
fence
right.
posts. Yeah.
Same material though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
Jim
Yes.
has pasture in his backyard.
Jim has
He
pasture
does.
right there and right there.
And when I say
and right
pasture,
there.
I mean like a field, not a pasture, like a
There
road.
ain't no pastors around here. Pastors don't go around here.
I thought they did. I thought you like, isn't there like 2 churches on either side of your street or something like that?
there's churches down the road, not
Yeah.
by me. There's some sort of thing. I can't get too close.
By the chicken shack. Don't you have a chicken shack down there we were looking at? And
No,
Chicken
it's
Shack?
Like 8
You mean
miles
Radio
up the
Shack?
road.
No,
Radio
like a
Shack?
chicken shack. Like you could go there and get fried chicken.
Oh, there's
Oh.
probably 100 chicken shacks around here, but
Man, I like chicken.
So that
like
one,
chicken.
that one actually that snake antenna sounds pretty easy. It says it doesn't
keep
have to be.
scrolling. Keep scrolling. Scroll on down.
I'm saving this one though.
He's saving
Don's gonna go crazy here now.
it.
In fact, I think Don wrote this. My goodness, my gracious. It's something brand new. I could just hear Don saying this. Sorry, Don. I was just making fun. The corny Seuss-like rhyme. LOG stands for loop on the ground. Now I've got two of these because this one just happened to be in the same thing here.
So it's a log for a bog.
Yes. And Don likes this, and I tend to like this one too. I'll bring up another one here for this in a second, but it says the loop of wire can be a circumference of 20 to 150 feet, and the shape should be as close to a diamond or square as possible. So this one takes a little requirement where that snake on the ground, they said just wherever you can lay it, right? So it'd be kind of cool to try all of these. Oh, here it is right here. Let's see, here's the difference. There is no terminating. I don't see a resistor anywhere in this one. That's where I said this was different than the one Don was talking about.
You're different, Chuck.
He
And
says
that's
you can hear
is that the
DX on a
4-to-1?
lot. I hear DX on every antenna I have. Don, I don't know about you.
Yeah, but you ain't got HDMI on that 3000. So, you know.
See,
I don't.
that's a smaller one. That actually might be a doable thing.
This is the one. Let me bring up this one here.
So that's 30 feet. No, it's more than 30, I guess.
Do I need to
Do some
embiggen this one
Pythagorean
too?
theorem on that thing and you figure it out.
No.
Gray Man
So-
Pota's asking some silly questions, but you got a wooden fence, son. You can't do that.
You
I
can
didn't see the question.
use electric fence wire and
He ain't
string
talking
electric
about
fence
that, though.
wire.
He's saying, can he turn his fence into the log bog?
I think you could. I mean, I've heard. I mean, somebody went out and took a KX2 and lit up a fence one day. I think it was like
So
Donald, too.
Jim's got a good point in here. He mentioned it earlier that he's using a preamp with these,
Yep.
which makes total
Right.
sense, right? Given the negative gain that these antennas have.
Right. I made
Which
a
it
preamp
talks
once.
about in that article, if Chuck would ever get to it.
This article or the other article?
The one from On All Bands. the
Can
other
you
article.
plus this up a little bit? I'm having a little trouble here.
Can I what?
Plus it up, son. Plus it up.
I
And
did
bigging
plus it up.
Make it bigger, Charles.
Look, I learned how to do it. Look at
It's
that.
not the first time you've heard that, I'm sure.
There we go.
And then it's usually followed by, oh my God. Attach isolation transformer here. This one's pretty, and I don't know if the actual, Don can chime in here. I don't know if the actual size of
Oh,
this
he
makes a
will.
big difference.
But
I
see,
don't know
like
if the size
that's
of it-
actually doable. That's not that big. You could probably squeeze that into your yard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it is super
then-
directional if you look at it, right?
So that's 60 feet of wire.
There's your main lobes.
and that
depends on where
that
you
ain't
load
hard
it.
to lay out at all.
I think we might have to do a project on this one.
I think so
don't say-
too.
This is the one I think we might do. I mean, it's
Let's get a look at that
This-
transformer down at the bottom there.
all right. Let's go down.
We got to keep him moving along. You know, it's like 10:15. I'm just saying.
My gosh. So here's your transformer. I can embiggen this by itself.
And I was thinking, oh my God.
How's that? So this is all it takes, and we could throw this kit together. Like I could
So
make this
that's
kit in about 10 minutes.
That's a bino toroid. And what is that like?
A what? A binocular toroid.
That's what I said. 4 or 5 wraps.
So it said 2
I
on the
got to get a red
primary,
flag.
4 to 6 on the secondary.
Okay.
Yeah, in like people were talking earlier, it depends. Some of it depends on what you're going to feed it with coax wise.
Does he
I've seen
does he
that in different
specify
things.
that because like that's like a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1?
The coax
One
run
of
from
these
the
are-
antenna is just shy of 200 feet. This is a 75.
I've-
He's using 75 ohm on this one. It looks like.
Yes. And what I was going to say is, let me pop this up real quick. If you look on DX Engineering, they have several of these kind of products.
Mhm.
They don't have the K9.
$350.
I know, right?
Ours will be cheaper, guys.
This will be a lot cheaper. But all these things, and this is one of them. That other one they don't have in stock. But all these are set for something like RG6U using F connectors. So
Let me
this
just pull
is
up my calculator real quick. So
TV
if you
coax.
have a 75 times 3, so it would be 2 to 6 wraps. That's 225. So it's like if you're using 50 ohm cable, you would probably want a 4-to-1.
Right. And most of us have that. I mean,
But this
I've already
also
got-
also has the terminators, the feed unit, and you can change directions on it and a few other things. So this is kind of a
so that
fancy
one may be
setup.
that may be set up for. Is that the whole kit right there? All those parts?
That's it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that one's probably set up for multiple ones.
Let's see. Very versatile 2-direction low band receive antenna. Updated and improved. Low cost. Oh, low cost RG6 for the elements. For the feed line of a reversible or reversible
Elements.
bog. Elevated bog. Blah, blah, blah. 4 components, 1 feed unit, 2 terminators, and 1 control switch.
So that's a beverage antenna there.
Well, you can
It's
use
different.
it a couple ways. You can use it as
Oh,
a
you
beverage
can.
antenna or a beverage on the ground.
Right.
That's what
We're
all
talking
this
about.
yippity
We're
smacking
talking
was here.
about a loop on the ground right now. It's a different antenna.
Well,
That's
this
the
is
last
one of
we
the
were
things
talking
you
about.
mentioned, and I
It
got
is.
it.
No, it is. It's the one we were
Well,
talking. I don't want people to be confused. This is the one we talked about earlier.
Well, Chuck, they're
Beverage on the
listening to
ground.
you. They're already confused, man. I'm confused.
You're always confused though.
That's
we just
probably true. I need more.
we talk
coffee.
antennas. We talk antennas, and Jim's like,
I
I don't like toroids. I don't like toroids.
No, I just kind of tune out. You know,
So here's the
that
pictures
parts
of
that
it
Chuck's
again.
showing. That parts that Chuck's showing. That's an easy kit to put together there.
Yeah, it does look like it's pretty easy.
This
But
is
see,
this is it on the ground.
Now, hold up. What is that
Hold up.
wire? Because that ain't.
This
that
wire
one's
got
here is your
tape.
coax.
It's
That's your
got tape
coax.
on it.
It's taped. It's taped up.
No, not that. The element
up here?
wire.
that's
That's
14
your two
gauge.
wires. That's your two
Yeah, I
wires
was gonna
coming
say,
in. And if you
you
look
know what that-
closely right here, it's got one of those little stakes. He staked it down right there.
Well, the picture's so damn small.
I know.
looks
I
like
can see it here because it's really
clothesline
big.
wire is what it looks like. That
What is that,
like
a fescue?
clothesline wire.
That's a fescue. No, that's a.
He's got
that's a
some
rye.
excess thatch on that ground. He needs to get
It's a
that.
rye.
You
He
need to be
does.
patching. He does.
He does. So here's just a technical drawing of it. I think I can bring that up. Look at that.
See, now Don is saying you put a 4-to-1 at the house, but this has got the transformer out at the antenna, right? It's at the antenna feed point.
Right.
So,
right.
Don, are you saying you use 2 transformers? Because I would just use a tuner
This
in the
one.
house.
Yeah. Because that looks like you're just coming. Your feed line is going to the matchbox, and then
Where did he say that? So he's just bringing the wire to the house. That sounds like to me, and putting it to a 4-to-1 because he's probably using 50 ohm, right? Is that true?
Yeah, click on that link. It's the
Don?
same design used by W8JI.
Okay, where's it?
He's got to
All right.
Go down. There you go.
again. No one can read that.
Well, I'm kind of looking at it if there's anything here.
We don't know.
We want to see the transformer.
There, I don't see one. That's what I'm looking for.
Keep scrolling.
Oh, look at this. Let me control exit here. Let me plus it.
Fence
for you.
isolators.
So that's what I was talking about there.
Yep.
I mean, these things are cheap at Tractor Supply, guys. There's the ones I have right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they make several kinds.
Oh, here we go.
You got to plus
can't
that up so I
click,
can
Chuck.
read the
Control
words.
plus, Chuck.
I can't collect that one.
73 mix.
Control plus. Good Lord.
That's what I did, man.
No, not that plus, Chuck. The control plus on the keypad.
That's what I did. I'm telling you.
You
Lost
passed it. Go back up.
There it is right there. Control plus.
So that's a
I don't know,
6.5 to 1 is what he's saying.
It's doing something. It's just,
Yeah,
oh,
it's
there,
making it bigger so we can actually see it. There we go.
Yeah, they're just moving it on me. His is a 6-1.
Yeah, so he's doing
It
two
says
turns.
9-1 here.
He's doing 2 turns on the coax, and then 5 turns for the antenna. Is that right? Or 6 turns to give a 9-1.
The core requires 2-turn 50 to 75 ohm winding. High impedance winding is 5 turns for 75 ohm cables or 6 turns for 50.
Yeah, there you go.
It says 6 turns for a 9-1. So if you do 2 and 6 is a 3-1, but maybe I'm reading it wrong.
I'm just reading what it says.
They never do good enough pictures for this stuff. That really chapped my ass.
Right. Or like when they take pictures of their antenna in the air and all you can see is a dark blob against the white sky.
Look at that, Abe. Look at his little line down the middle there to separate it.
Yeah, see, that's where I would struggle.
Yeah, we've seen.
You
that
got some
before
legit
on-
PCB work in there. I got to be able to etch those PCBs. I'm sure it's not that difficult.
Look at these resistors. Different kinds of resistors. I can throw this one in there too.
Yeah, that's cool.
What?
James Hannibal.
James Hannibal's sassy too. He's always got the snark going on.
Now he's going to do whip grease shirt. Do you even whip grease, bro?
There's the inside of your capacitor. Looks like that got blowed up there. I'm telling you guys, there's a ton of information here. And if you this was that last link was from this one here.
Are you going to put all these links in the description, Charles?
I will try to. Yes, I've been trying to put them in here as we've gone too, but I only put it once. So, that was the 3 antennas. There's also what was it called? The flag antenna is another one. I didn't. That one, the flag antenna, reminds me of what Ape was talking about with the throwing up on your roof there. Kind of reminded me of something like that. I think it was actually for a rotor also. What?
Lee's being a wise guy. Yeah, so potentially we're looking at having them do that. And then Chris Bricker was saying to get the single-sided PCB. So the single-sided PCB is what I used for this filter. It's beautiful, ain't it? The problem is that I am not smart enough to build the PCBs and create the Gerber files, because the problem is like, you have to have a ground layer in this PCB. I don't know how to do that. And the other one is that I'm not sure that my traces are thick enough. And I don't know how to do any of that. So if anybody is a PCB designing expert, and I mean, that's legitimate. They got to be a legitimate expert. We would love to talk to you. Chris Bricker's a PCB designer. All right, Chris.
There you go.
Yeah, Chris has been dropping some comments about PCBs. He said the single layers like that stuff was pretty easy to do. And I'm like, okay.
Actually, Ape, that little small table saw we looked at the other day, be perfect for doing your little. I mean, you could do straight lines with it,
but the one wasn't big enough, so when I cut it, it didn't look.
No, I was talking about cutting your traces in though, to separate the board. You could run that right down that instead of your rotary tool you were trying to use.
And then I've got a bunch of these. It might not show up because of my green screen, but I've got a bunch of the through hole PCB boards that I use. These little doohiccuses.
So, like I said, there's a ton of information on this, guys. More than we could put in a show. And I started looking at it. It's like, oh my God, I don't know how we're going to do all this, but I think we did all right. Hopefully get you guys started. That's what we're looking at here. So Loop on the Ground, KK5JYnet. .net. So that's one of the ones I did put that in. I've got these saved, so I'll throw them in the thing.
I told him. I told PCB Way. I was like, "Look, son,
Bill's
we're
a
in
funny
business
guy.
together. Can't you just lend me an engineer?" And they were like, "No."
They wouldn't do it, huh? Maybe
I know.
Bill's an engineer. He's a pilot. I mean,
Well, son, I'm a pilot, but I can't design a PCB board either.
I think Bill's a legit pilot, dude. I think he actually works as a pilot.
Bill, yes, Bill
Just
probably
saying,
is
just
a
saying,
legit
just
pilot,
saying.
but
Plus, I'm too busy watching cat videos. You know what I'm saying?
if you can land the airplane without killing anybody, you're a pilot. There you go. Bill's been
All
doing
right.
it longer and better. Just shut up, Chuck.
I'm not
Big old
sure he's really
meanie-
a pilot, though. I think he
meanie
might be
head.
the guy in the back. He might be the more
We call
important guy
those
telling you how to
passengers.
get there. Yeah, I'm a passenger. I think I could fly a helicopter for a brief minute or two.
Until the
Just
gravity
saying.
sucked.
Yeah, until the gravity sucked in.
Well, flying the plane's the easy part. The hard part's landing, right? I mean, like
Landing,
that's
right.
where.
Takeoffs are
well, the
optional,
plane-
landings are mandatory. That's exactly right.
Well, the plane will fly itself most of the time, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Once you
Some
trim
of-
it out,
some of them.
it'll stay there.
All right, you guys got to end the show. I got to pee bad.
Yeah, but really. Okay, I'm going to hit the button.
So
Chuck, say
hopefully-
bye.
Thank you.
Hopefully this was fun for you guys. We had a good time. Thanks for coming. See you guys
Love
in
you.
the next one.
Love you, mean it.
Love y'all.
Have a good
Love
day,
y'all.
y'all.